Welcome back. To enhance ex-offenders' chances of getting employed, there's now a new hybrid learning program that will see them get training beyond correctional facilities. There's also $150,000 set aside for those who finish the course and be employed in the relevant industry. This is after a deal was inked between rehab group Yellow Ribbon Singapore and the Singapore Institute of Management's charity arm. Chloe Teo with this report.
A fresh start for Dave. He was one of 23 participants in a pilot program that trains ex-offenders in technical and leadership roles in environmental services. Over 8 months, his training began at Changi Prison Complex and continued at Temasek Polytechnic.
Because in cluster, right, we don't have a lot of source. Like we don't have access to our phone, or we don't have access to laptops or to go research. And when we came to Temasek Poly, then like you have all the access, like phone, laptops and everything. Then whatever teacher is teaching or what that we don't even know, we can actually very fast we can access to the internet and find out.
This is the first time Yellow Ribbon Singapore is using this hybrid approach. From April 2026, more programs in different sectors will be offered, including alongside institutes of higher learning.
It's important for us to ensure that while we work with organizations, but also identify areas that are relevant or emerging to their needs. Because we want them not only to seek employment in the short term, but to see it as a journey for them to rebuild their lives and have that dignity in their lives to contribute, to be able to feel that they are making progress in their rehabilitation and reintegration journey.
The SIM People Development Fund's $150,000 commitment is set to benefit around 80 ex-offenders annually over 3 years.
And for more, we speak to Patrick Tay, who is chairman of SIM People Development Fund and also NTUC Assistant Secretary General. And we also have with us Leslie Jin, who is Deputy Director of Skills at Yellow Ribbon Singapore. Gentlemen, welcome to the studio.
Thank you.
Patrick, let's start with you. What do you hope the SIM PDF Progression Awards will achieve for ex-offenders?
Yeah, the SIM People Development Fund, SIM PDF for short, we're celebrating our 5th anniversary this year. I think one of our key mission is to help in the learning, development, and increasing the employability of Singaporeans. And we've made a particular focus on what we call the 4D areas: the displaced, the disabled, the dependent, and disconnected. And in this space, particularly our inmates, I think this is one area which we hope, and we share this alignment of purpose with Yellow Ribbon Singapore, and therefore we're inking this partnership to benefit these inmates who are undergoing programs, to help them to build up new skills and of course reintegrate and find jobs in the different sectors that are in demand of workers.
Yeah, and one of these benefits would be the $150,000 that are set aside. Yes. I want to ask, what do you think is unique or important about having a cash incentive for ex-offenders when it comes to helping them to stay committed to the program?
Firstly, we have started a pilot this year before we have committed in today's MOU signing for a 3-year partnership to contribute to a maximum amount of $150,000. This cash incentive, what we call the Progression Awards, the SIM PDF Progression Award of $600 cash, is in a way to encourage these inmates who have undergone programs to enhance their employability skills. And it's not an easy journey, having to pick up skills while they are still supervisees and undergoing the program. It's not easy. It requires a lot of mental model shifts and really going through the whole relearning journey and the process. So we want this to serve as an encouragement, an incentive, as well as in a way sort of like a stipend to help them defray some of the costs. And as you know, there are many other funding. They are available for the programs they undergo through Skills Future, Yellow Ribbon Singapore, as well as the other funding. But this aims to plug the gaps where there's no national funding, but we hope through this SIM PDF Progression Award to fill this gap.
Yeah, we want to bring Leslie into the conversation now. We just heard some benefits of having training outside the correctional facilities, skills training. So what do you think are some examples that might show why that's actually quite important? And also, I hear that next year there'll be other industries that will now be involved as well. Can you share more about that?
Yes, firstly, I would like to share that actually in the coming year, we will be expanding beyond environmental services. We will be looking at logistics, retail sector, F&B. So these are some of the key sectors that we're looking at, and even beauty and wellness for the ladies. Yeah, so these are some of the industries we're looking at, and what essentially this hybrid model actually gives us is really additional options for the inmates to actually choose. For those who want to finish their training in prison and to secure immediate employment, there's an option. For those who want to further training opportunities while they're on supervision, there is an option. And for those who want to attend courses that normally what we couldn't do in prisons, so this is where the hybrid model comes in. We allow them to actually complete a portion of the training in prisons, and then they actually go out to an institute of higher learning to complete the training. And it gives them an opportunity that maybe they may not actually have in their lives to attend training in a new environment in a school, and where the vibes are different, the learning environment is different. One day can be more motivated.
There's a lot of diversification of opportunities here for the ex-offenders. The pilot group that we heard from just now, they went through an 8-month course. Can you kind of break down for us or paint a picture for us of what happens in that time? How much of the time is spent, of course, serving time in prison, but how much was also spent at polytechnics, for example, or even in the community?
Oh, well, so this course actually is a 3-month course if they were to take it in the community when they're out. However, for us, we actually did about 2 months worth of training in prisons. After that, they actually have to go for some pre-release training done by Yellow Ribbon Singapore. So actually prepare them for employment. We prepare them in the sense of grooming techniques, interviewing techniques, how to build their CVs. So these are things that we actually give them, equip them so that they are also more employable. In addition, our Yellow Ribbon career coaches actually will do career conversations with them. So during the period of time where they are just about to go out, they are well prepared to know what kind of career choices they want to make. Then they will spend the last 3 weeks, compressed time frame, at Temasek Poly, where they have access to new equipment, realistic working environment, where they know how to operate machines, code stuff.
Yeah, so Patrick, we've been talking a lot about the skills aspect of it. I want to get from the perspective of the employers as well. What do you think are some of the biggest challenges that you faced when it comes to persuading employers to hire ex-offenders, and how are you going to tackle that?
Yeah, I think it's in the whole ecosystem, it's a many helping hands approach and many stakeholders involved. That's why SIPDF is chipping in, and we hope more like-minded partners will step forward to support YRSG. Because I think YRSG has already had a good relationship with many employers. We hope more employers come on board in inclusive hiring. And I think not just employers. I think as they reintegrate or go back into the workplace, I hope fellow co-workers will also render the necessary support and also be inclusive as well. So I think we hope more employers, having heard of this program that we are rolling out, will come on board. Yeah, I'm really doing a call out to all the prospective employers. As you know, in Singapore, we're a very tight labour market. So make full use of these schemes that we already have at the national level and as well as at the MHA, YRSG level. And now with support to really provide a very holistic, very whole of ecosystem approach.
Yeah, and speaking of that approach as well, I want to get back to Leslie now. What kind of initiatives is Yellow Ribbon looking at when it comes to developing further opportunities? Anything exciting in the pipeline?
Well, training remains the core component. However, training itself is insufficient. It is a means to an end. The end, what we want is for them to be placed on jobs, like what Patrick mentioned. They get jobs, not just any jobs, jobs that can pay well, jobs that can give them careers. Yeah, one that they can grow, stay in. So one that can help them regain their dignity or become someone that they are proud of. And
All right. Thank you so much, Leslie and Patrick, for sharing your views with us. I've been chatting with Mr. Patrick Tay and Mr. Leslie Jin on ex-offender employability.